So this farm is basically for paladins who want to boost people, or you can do this farm on your own, but you'll do a little bit less gold, well actually like half of the gold that you do if you boost people. Boost in Zul Farrak costs about 4 gold per run per person, so that's 16 gold per run if you have 4 people. You can only do 4 runs per hour except in the first hour, which you can do 5, so it averages out around like 64 gold every 4 runs. Plus you get the normal loot that mages do, the same time that they do, because your instance locked at 15 minutes. I found like a way where you don't need to reset even if you're boosting people. One of the hassles of Zul Farrak is you have to explain them, oh, do this, do that, reset here, reset there. I found a way where you don't have to do that. All you have to do is tell them stay back until, let me just put the sound there. All you have to do is stay back until you reach that first pack in here. Once you reach that pack, you get aggro of those, and then you can chain pull everything up until the end, and they won't get aggro ever again. So you can see that I'm pulling the pack there, going to the next one, and when I look back at my boostee, he's not going to get any aggro, and now basically they will chain pull off each other. You want to look back every often to see if they've pulled, but it should be safe from here on out. The only thing I want to say is you want to avoid stepping on this jar, because if you do, you get dismounted, and if you get dismounted, then you have to either reset, but whatever the way you go around it, you're gonna waste time. I don't really have a lot of gear on this character. You can see like my gear navigate is pretty shitty, except my mace, which is the Jindu Hexer. You don't really need a lot of gear to do this. I've got literally 0 spell power on this character, and I don't have a lot of mana. I have like less than 3k mana, and you're basically going to use Consecration a lot and Holy Wrath, so mana would be nice. So you can speed this up a lot. I've managed to get these pulls down to 8-7 minutes sometimes when I'm fast, and if I use the crystal charges from Ungoro, which are pretty cheap, they cost like 5 silver per bomb in total. But yeah, so you wanna go all the way to the graveyard. I'm just gonna speed this up a bit. And then you want to tell your boosties to dismount at this spot. You pull the boss, and then you dismount at that spot. The reason why is that if you do it in here, in this corner that a lot of people do, sometimes I've found that if you jump in the wrong way, you get insta disconnected, and that'll wipe you, basically. Alright, so dismount there, and then we're going to do the same thing that mages do. You're going to wait for it to reset, for the mobs to reset, and then you're going to pull all of the graves. And one thing I don't do is I don't loot them. Well, first because I don't have time compared to mages. I could, but it would slow me down a lot. And second because I've found that, there may be 40 silver per each run, 50 silver, sometimes a gold if you're lucky, but it's really not a lot of gold, so it's not worth the time. If you're a mage, sure, but as a paladin, it's just not worth the time that you're going to spend there. So you pull this all. You can go all the way until the end. There's no risk of dying, really. You can see we're just pulling them while I walk. You don't need to stop. You just keep running and clicking. You don't need to ever stop. They still spawn. There's a reset spot where I'm gonna go. It's behind this jar here. And you can see I get there pretty healthy. 1 holy light, full HP. You wait for them to reset. Wait, increase the speed. You wait for them to reset and you pull the rest. Now what you want to do in these ones is you're going to pull all of them, including this one that we didn't pull before because we couldn't reach it. And then you jump and evade in the same spot as you've done before. Now I have a 60% mount, so if I had an epic, this would have been a lot faster. I'm probably going to get my epic soon, but being a new character and all. If you get an epic mount, you'll do this a lot faster and a lot easier, the chain pull of the mobs now. Because as you can see, you're going to want to pull these and you get hit quite a lot with this speed. And it's also a bit harder to do the packing of the group by rounding them up. I'm going to get hit by them again in there. But it's okay, it's still pretty safe. I aggroed this guy here, which is not undead and not elite. Elite but not undead, and so it's going to be harder to kill him, but it doesn't really matter in this book. So you get them all, you climb all the way up, and you want to go here where I went. If you went a little bit further down the mountain, you're just going to slide against the wall and they're going to come and hit you and you're probably going to die. So you're going to come here and you jump forward and you slide in the mountain and it hits that bit. You can then choose to jump from this mountain to that wall, or you just run all the way to the right and then you jump around. It's the same thing. Alright, so you jump here. And now comes the combo where I've mentioned before that you can use Consecration and Holy Wrath. So the first time, what I do, this time I actually did it wrong. I usually firstly use Consecration and only then use Bubble, because there's a few seconds where they're going to be hit by Consecration, but they're not hitting you yet, and you get the cooldown back faster. Another thing I'm not using in this run anymore, because I ran out, but I do usually, is Crystal Chargers, like I said. They do 500 damage, which is a lot on these mobs, and they have 1 minute cooldown, and they cost about 5 silver in total, because you deliver 10 of each material, which are pretty cheap, but they get 6 months back. So maybe a bit more than 5 silver, maybe 10 silver, but still pretty worth it. If you're an engineer, I'm not. If you're an engineer, you can do better bombs like the dynamites, just for damage, the cheapest ones, and you'll also be set as well. But basically, you want to use any trinket. I found that the best trinket is the cannon, because it lines up the cooldown with your bubble perfectly. It's 5 minutes both, and it does a lot of damage in a pack. And I think in terms of the AoE trinkets, it might be the best one for a big ass pack, because you got like Rammstein's lightning bolt that does 200 damage, but you know, not that much damage compared to this one. You have Arakinus, whatever, the chain of Aranicus, and that one does more damage, but has a 15-minute cooldown, so you can only use it once per run. This you can use 3. I think that's about it in terms of spells that do damage. And yeah, I was unlucky. As you can see, my goddamn trinket started hitting the guy in the back, only the one, instead of hitting all the zombies. It would have done a lot more damage. But yeah, you consecrate, you Holy Wrath, you get another consecrate in if you can. I'm gonna get a few ticks off of it, and then you jump away. And basically you're gonna keep doing this stance all the time. I'm gonna speed up the video. So I want to mention something, is that when you do the first bubble, a minute later you can do another one with Blessing of Protection. The advantage of putting a bubble is that the consecration will do its full damage, whereas if you only do a normal consecration and then run away, it doesn't. But you can see here that I'm doing something which I call like consecration dancing. I'll push back a bit and I'll slow down. You put a consecration around the middle of the wall. I put it way too late in this case, but you should put it like closer to the middle of the wall, around here where I am now. And then the mobs are gonna start walking over it. As soon as they do, you can see the hits on your screen in the corner, and then you start jumping back and forth. That means that the mobs are also jumping back and forth, and they're getting the full damage of a consecration now. Consecration over. So now I'm just gonna wait for the Holy Wrath cooldown, which is the biggest damage you're doing here, and my Blessing of Protection, which I am going to do now. Yeah, I see. The bubble, consecration first, then bubble, then Holy Wrath. If I had a crystal charge, I'd use it here as well and do a lot of damage to them. If I had better gear, spell power, you know, it doesn't scale that well, consecration and Holy Wrath, but it does scale a bit, so it would be something. But I would have like a much bigger mana pool, and I could just dance around them much better. You should also be using Blessing of Wisdom all the time. Mine wear off because I just used Blessing of Protection. I forgot to rebuff, but there it is. I just did it now. And you're gonna basically keep doing this dance, and then every time you can, you do Holy Wrath. Holy Wrath lines pretty perfectly with your bubble because it's a 1 minute cooldown. Your bubble is a 5 minute cooldown, so you can do 5 Wraths until you get bubble back, and then you can do full consecration on the floor, second consecration, etc. That combo. One thing worth noting is you can kill them on the mountain, or you shouldn't kill them on the mountain. I'll show you where I mean. So, hold on. Am I gonna go for a Wrath? Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Wrath now, soon. 10 seconds. Alright. So, you see this wall here? You need to avoid killing them there. You can do damage for them there, which is good, because where you are right now, you'll always hit them. But you need to avoid doing the last hits of the mobs in there. Because sometimes they'll die on that mountain on the hills, and there is no way for you to loot. And you know, you never know what loot you get. It's usually not insane, but you might get an epic, and you're missing out. So yeah. So again, Holy Wrath, just keep doing that, consecration, and etc. I want to try now, next, a spell crit build, because Holy Wrath doesn't scale with spell power, but it does scale really well with crit, because with crit it'll just do more damage. I'll try and see that and make another video. Anyway, if for some reason you need to reset and you're like in trouble for some reason, you can reset here. What I did, you can see that the mob stopped for a second. Just a small hint. Right, so you just keep going until they die. Consecration again. That was pretty dodgy, almost died, but keep doing the dance. Oof, damn. I think this is the last time I'm gonna bubble and cannon again. Another consecration. Not dead yet. Need one more Holy Wrath. There you go. So again, the more gear you have, more mana, the faster you'll be able to do this. Cool. Careful because they still do damage. I had to bulb there at the end, protection. I underestimated their damage a bit, and then I just shoot a few heals, but it's okay. So when you loot them, my average per hour, this run was actually maybe not good in terms of like the loot I dropped, but initially when I found this, or managed to do this farm on a farm on like a repeated level, I did it for about 2 hours straight, and my average of loot was about between 60 and 80 gold per hour. Some items don't sell in the optionals, but they do disenchant. Some stuff sells on the optionals, but it doesn't say on my add-on, which is called farm log. Like, bank alts by the tarnished neck just for shows, and they sell for like a gold sometimes, 80 silver. And there's more you can do. The mage with cloth you can, and the silk cloth, instead of just selling it to the vendor or vendoring in the optionals, the other way around, selling it in the optionals or vendoring it, you can craft both bandages and sell them. They sell for more than the initial price of the cloth. Or you can craft items with the tailor and then disenchant. That's what I do, and then you get a little bit more gold. Plus disenchant mats or enchanting materials, they don't cost a fee to put up in the optionals, so they can stay there forever. Eventually you'll sell them and you won't be losing money off in the optionals. So that's the run. When you're done, I've done this in about 11 minutes, but you could certainly do it in a lot less. I've done already 7 to 8 minute pulls. Sometimes those are rare, but my average with the crystal bombs or crystal charges seems to be about 8 minutes per run. But it doesn't matter because you get locked anyway at 15 minutes. So what you want to do is, if you're boosting someone, which is the best way to do this one because you'll get more gold, if you're boosting someone, you want to go do the Scarabs. A lot of people think you can do the Scarabs, but you can guess what we're going to do with them. Literally the same thing we're doing with the zombies. There's 2 ways of pulling the Scarabs. You can either use an oil of immolation before you mount up, then you mount up and you run through them. That means that you will pull the first one, the first Scarab, which will then pull all of the others while you're mounted up, so that's really easy. But oil of immolation costs about 18 silver on my realm, so it's not really worth it because you'll lose like 3 to 4 gold, maybe more depending on your realm, per hour. Not really worth it, especially when you can do them just normally. So what you do is you hit one and then you chain pull the other ones. You can see they pull off each other and they have a pretty wide range, aggro range. And you're just gonna run. Keep running and running. Get all of them there. And they don't do a lot of damage. I'm actually like prod with consecration, so they don't do a lot of damage to me, but I suspect they wouldn't do it to you either. But if you need to bubble, you just bubble. Because if you have and you should have the boot minor speed enchant, you'll just outrun them like I am now. I'm not taking any damage. And if you needed to bubble to get this point, do it. And if you don't have the minor speed enchant, get it, because it's just mandatory for this. So you jump on that corner. Now there's something I want to mention here is where I am right now. Let me pull it back a second. Right, so in this, I missed those 2 mobs. In this corner, if you miss this jump and you fall on that, you will evade the mobs and you won't die, but there's no way out of it. I haven't managed to find a way out of there, and I tried for a good 10 minutes jumping around. If you fall on that corner, you're just stuck there. So you're gonna need to either reset the instance or, log out and wait to get teleported to the beginning, which is 5 minutes after you log out. It's pretty annoying, wasting time. What you do is you jump on the nose of this skull, turn your camera around, I'm gonna slow this down, and you jump up, and you jump here, and you turn back, and you jump. You have enough time to even fail once. You saw that I failed, and the mobs are still not resetted, they're still waiting in like evading buff. Jump on top of that. As soon as you hit this wall, You can see the Scarabs on the left, they're going to start running to you. Obviously, you know what we're going to do now. Holy Wrath doesn't work on the Scarabs, they're not undead, but Consecration does, Retribution Aura does, and you don't take as much damage, so you can tank them for a bit. What I do is I tank them until I'm really low, then I use Bubble, get another Consecration in, and then I run. The only thing I would say is, if you're not going to use Crystal Charge or any Engineering Bombs on the undeads, the zombies, which I still advise that you do, at least use one for these ones, because they take a little bit of time to die with only Consecration and Red Aura when you're not dying, and it gets pretty annoying. And there's no other thing you can do to damage them. You can't tank them for that long. I'm prot with Blessing of Sanctuary, and I still can't tank them for that long either. Yeah, so again, same thing as the zombies. You go back and forth, wait until you have mana. Again, in my case, my gear is pretty shit, and you just kill them with Consecration. This lowers your gold per hour a little bit, but it gives more experience to the boosts, so you can, you know, maybe charge more. I don't know, maybe get a reputation, whatever. You can decide not to do it as well, and do 5 pulls in the first hour, and then take a break. And you can do 5 pulls in the first hour without getting locked, and then you can take a break. You can see my gear here. I would recommend you to use the Rune of Dawn. It increases damage. It's like 50 free spell power against undead, so it helps with the Holy Wrath. But it's not mandatory. You can use anything else if you want in here. Maybe you could even... I actually have to try it. Maybe it's worth to have like Eranicus here, the trinket, or even Ramstein's Bolt. Maybe that's better. But you can see I have 0 spell power, and I still did this really easily. I finished the farm at about 16 minutes with no bombs, no nothing, pretty slow. You can do this a lot, pretty bad gear, so you can do this a lot faster. So thank you for watching, and maybe I'll upload some other Paladin farms that I found out in future videos. Cheers!